I lived I lived most of my life in Medfield, Massachusetts. Medfield. That's what I
That's awesome.
screamed before the Tyson fight. So then I moved a couple towns away to Norwood, Massachusetts, and then I met a great woman. Her name was Anna Rita, and we were together for 9 years. And then it'll be a year, June 14th coming. She killed herself at her two sons' home in Boston. So I'm single and alone again.
Man, I hate to hear that, Peter. Was there any
Yeah,
signs that something like that might had been coming?
not that I know of. No, no.
No.
But she was always arguing with her oldest son. They were constantly fighting about nothing. Oh, sad, 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 sad. It was sad.
Yeah.
Um,
What's that been like for you since then, man?
Say it again.
I said, what's that been like with you? Been like for you since that's happened? That had to
The,
be
o-
hard.
the, o- the only thing, like, all right, everybody knows I drank more alcohol, and did more cocaine than anybody. But I stayed no alcohol. I've been no alcohol, no cocaine. Oh, now over 7 years, a day at a time.
Good.
And so, even going through that, I still would not drink or coke.
Good, man. I'm glad to
You
hear
know,
that.
you know, like why? 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 I already did that. That's behind me. You know,
How long did you struggle with that, Peter? With the coke
decades, decades,
decade?
decades. Through my amateur boxing career, through my pro boxing career, till 7 years ago, this past Halloween.
How did you get started on that, Peter, with alcohol and cocaine?
That that again a long road. When I was a kid, 12 years old, alcohol, and and then eventually, cocaine came in, and hey, my father died 28 years sober, and he took me to my first AA meeting back in 1987, and I went to met too many meetings to count, and I learned a lot, and that's what you know. Together with my wife, we both did it started together 7 years ago. But the way she suicided was a um, obviously she relapsed, and everybody knows, no matter what part of this country you're from, if you're dumb enough to buy drugs off the streets, it's all fentanyl. It's
Oh
all
yeah,
fentanyl. And people have not done their homework. They don't read. They don't watch TV. And fentanyl is a horse tranquilizer. For like an injured horse, you tranquilize it with fentanyl. I mean, I in my long life, I worked with horses. They're big, powerful, beautiful animals. So in other words, fentanyl is not meant for humans.
I know, man. I mean, I want to say it was around 330,000 people just last year alone died from fentanyl. You know,
Right.
I had my
Correct.
experiences experimenting with stuff too. And I'm so glad that I'm not on any of that because it scares me with our kids. You know, somebody might think they're just experimenting with something for the first time, but it takes just like a speck of sand's worth of fentanyl to kill somebody. It's very dangerous.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right.
Very.
So, all right. For instance, a year ago this past March, I spoke to a young boxing club in what is called Revere, Massachusetts, which basically is like the north shore of Boston. And I told those kids, now this is before my wife died. Before my wife died, I told the kids, number one, do not, you know, finish high school, go to college, because you're not all gonna make it as boxers, you know,
Yeah.
and and do not drink alcohol, don't do drugs. Simple.
It'd definitely make you do things that you normally wouldn't, you know. And so I'm so glad to hear that you're sober.
Correct.
But Peter, I heard you talking about somebody that I wanted to hear a little bit more about, your father. So I didn't know
Oh,
it.
wow, he was awesome.
Yeah, man. So I didn't know that your father was a fighter as well. Could you tell us about
my
him?
my father fought for the heavyweight championship of the world.
Really?
December 4, 1961. Dad was the last fighter to fight Floyd Patterson before Patterson lost to Liston.
Oh, wow.
And so, when I was a kid, I'm talking like 6, 7 years old, I'm in the attic in Medfield. I'm seeing my father on the cover of Ring magazine, the cover of Sports Illustrated. You know the cover of Sports Illustrated back in 1961. That's huge. That was huge.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And Ring magazine.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
that was where the dream began for me.
did you know about his boxing career before finding that Sports Illustrated magazine, Peter?
Well, I mean, I was 6, 7 years old. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But it's just it's the way things are. When you're a kid.
Did your dad have a hand in training you for the boxing?
Way back in the beginning, but in 1987, and years years before that. But I went to Bridgewater State College, and I flunked out my freshman year. Because of my own drinking. And
Yeah.
so that was when I stopped drinking and I started boxing in the summer. So in school started in the fall. I said, Dad, take me to the Petronelli Gym in Brockton, which is next to Bridgewater. And, back then, cheap cars, gas was cheap. So I drove every night. Now, I walked into the Petronelli Gym in Brockton, the home of marvelous Marvin Hagler.
Oh, wow.
I walked in there because we had met. My father took us to meet Marvin a couple times, 2 times when we were really, when I was like 12 years old. So when I got there, Marvin had basically um he disappeared. Um, he he had money now, and he went to Italy, and he had money. He was able to go and not be because he was so upset about that decision. He thought he won against Sugar Ray Leonard,
Yeah.
and he. But what I'm saying is, so I walked. Hagel Leonard was late April 1987. I walked in the Petrelli gym, say September 8th, um, that same year. So to and they didn't care up there. CTE, nobody cared about CTE back then. Nobody
Right.
cared. Yeah. So I I mean, I'm all in one as an amateur. I'm sparring with pros and high grade, high level amateurs. It's crazy,
You
crazy.
have a pretty impressive record, man. I was looking at it. 54 total fights, 47 wins, 36 by knockout, and only 7 losses. That's a really amazing record.
That I owe that all to Vinny Vecchione. Vinny was my promoter, manager, coach, um, and I got away from the Petrellis. One night, I was coming out of the Petrelli gym. Now this is 1990, summer 1990. Coming out of the Petrelli gym, a man approaches me. Hi, how you doing? I'm Vinny Vecchione. I played semi-pro football with your Uncle Brian. And of course, I know your father. Um, could you come down to Whitman and spar with a guy? And and right then and there he handed me $40. And the Petrellis wouldn't give you nothing to spar with vicious pros in their gym. It was funny. But so I said, sure. And I went down to the South Shore Boxing Club in Whitman. I sparred with a guy by the name of Paul Poirier. And Paul had not fought in like 14 years. It was making a comeback. When he stopped boxing, he was undefeated. Vinny brought him back. He was older, heavier, and I sparred with Paul. And Paul, I'm sorry, Vinny said to Cliff Pippin, the owner of South Shore Boxing Club in Whitman, he's the best young heavyweight prospect in this area. And I want, I want to be with this kid. So 90 turned into 91. I'm at the end of my college deal. And, I fought the Golden Gloves again. And, got beat a couple times.
Yeah.
And so Vinny would call me. I had a phone right in my door, and he'd call me and talk to me. So one day he said, "Hey, look, come on down, come on and spar with Paul." I said, "Okay," and I did. And he talked to me afterwards. He said, "Look, you're gonna get nowhere at the Petrelli gym. See, people don't realize, didn't know that the Petronelli brothers did not know what the hell they were doing. Marvin, Marvelous Marvin, carried them to the top.
Mm.
So, so I trusted this guy and I listened to him, and I did what he said. I had my last, yeah, I kept, kept training with him. Had my last amateur fight with him, a second round KO win, and and then I had 54 pro fights with him.
Wow.
So that's how that went.
So let me ask, Peter, like talking about
I'm Hurricane Peter McNeely from Medfield, Mass. On Saturday night, watching kick Tyson's ass. If you haven't made your pay-per-view arrangements yet, make them soon. Because you know what happens when I wrap you in my cocoon.
So who came up with that poem? Are you the one that wrote that?
Well, no.
No.
What happened was this great friend of mine from Medfield. He was a year ahead of me. Now it's months. Yeah, it's months before I haven't even signed the contract yet to fight Tyson. But he's like, but Dave was like, his name was Dave Fleming. And Dave said, Pete, come on. Everybody knows you're going to fight Tyson. And he says, when you do, I want you to say, I want you to say you're going to wrap him in a cocoon of horror. And I did it at an LA press conference 10 days before the fight. So one of Don King's people came up with the Hurricane Peter McNeely from Medfield, came up with the rhyme. And they handed it to me. I'm just like, I'm standing at the microphone, but I'm not, I'm just about like I'm, I mean, you can see them handed to me, and I'm reading it. I look at it quick, and then I read it. You can still see the paper in my hand. I read it at the microphone. Hey, those were great times.
I bet they were, man. I got a lot that I want to talk to you about that. How did that Mike Tyson fight happen? How did that fall into your lap?
Okay, so first, in that like late spring 1994, my record was so good that see my Vinny had a connection with with Don King Productions, a big connection. The connection was Al Braverman. Al Braverman was a known fight guy from way back, and Al had something to do with my father early with my father's career. But my father and his manager, his manager wouldn't listen, and because Al said, even like because Al was supposed to be involved with them earlier, but even Al said he's not. There's no way in hell he's not ready to fight Patterson now. He's not. If you do this right, Al said, if you do this right, he'll win. If you do it now, he's not going to win. And Dad didn't. But hey, anyways, so Al became Don King and Al were like partners. Al was Don King's #1 agent. So Vinny had a relationship with Al that went back to like the early 70s. So so first that's how I signed with Don King. Now when I signed a contract with Don King Promotions, um, there was no talk of a Tyson fight because Tyson was in prison.
Right.
Um, but put it this way: in the '90s, if you weren't with King, Aram, or the Duvas, you weren't getting anywhere in boxing. And everybody, I mean, most people know if they're involved in boxing, they know boxing good. The the one who paid the most of that three was Don King. And in the end, that's what professional boxing is all about.
Yeah.
How much you're gonna get paid.
Now I saw something, not trying to get personal on that, Peter, but you
Yes,
made, was it around 600,000 for that fight?
that was for the fight, correct. That was publicized.
Yeah, but you probably didn't get to keep much of that after you paid for the camp and everything, did you?
The bottom line is this: when when the fight was over, we ended up doing two commercials. The first commercial, now Vinny calls me like I'm off now, like I'm off. I'm drinking and coking up a storm. Um, and Vinny calls me one day and says, "Peter, look, we gotta go to LA again." I says, "What for, Vinny?" He says, "We're gonna do a commercial." And I says, "Who?" He goes, "I don't know, some computer thing." It was AOL. I did a commercial for Rec Online.
Oh, wow.
In,
That's a throwback.
in fall of 1995.
I saw your other commercial where you got knocked out by
Everyone
a
saw
slice
the
of
other one.
pizza.
We thought, maybe. Knock myself out with the stuffed crust.
Must have been a nice, a really good slice of pizza. It looked like it packed quite a punch on you.
Well, put it this way: it was worth every nickel. But the point we're trying to make is, so now we've grossed a little, like a few $100,000, under $1 million
Yeah.
gross. So then, but bottom line is, at the end, to me, I took home 400,000. Me personally. Everybody else got their share. I mean, and this is the sad thing about boxing. It goes back to Joe Louis, the IRS.
Mm.
They are not going to stop. Even Mike Tyson knows about the IRS.
Oh, yeah.
They're not going to stop. And that's why, unfortunately, I mean, Roy Jones looked like the best fighter since Sugar Ray Robinson. He really did. But again, he wasn't paying the IRS. And that's why Tyson helped him with that exhibition they did. That was
I
to
did not
help Roy.
I did not know that. Tyson seems like a really good person, man. Like he's really
Let,
turned his
let,
life.
let me tell you about Mike Tyson. Now, we've had we've had our interactions. He's a great guy. He's a great guy. Now, it wasn't now. We had not even waked the wake had the like within 2 days after my wife died. Mike Tyson called me right up a couple times. Um, he's a West Coast guy, so the time difference between here and there and Boston area. Um, when he was calling me, it was late. I was already in bed sleeping. So the next day, and a lot of things were going on around here. The phone was off the hook because of my wife. So I see the missed calls, but and I didn't, realize or get it. But then he texted me.
Mm.
He, and he said, "You were there for me at a very low point in my life. Call me, please." You know, and I did. He answered right away. "What's up, brother?" And he said, "I'm so sorry for your loss. You can call me anytime if you need me." And you know what? I didn't keep Mike on the phone long because obviously I had a lot going on here. But you know what? That's class and respect from the champion.
100%, man. I mean, now Peter, who that was after who had passed away? Was that your wife?
My wife. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was just like
Yeah.
a year ago.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
It's crazy, man. That definitely shows a lot of class on Mike's. It was I saw something. Uh, you guys knew each other before that fight, correct?
No. We had never met. Remember, I fought him first when he got out of prison.
Yes. Yes.
We now Mike is a he knows all about from early boxing to date, and he knew all because all right, this is crazy, but if you look at it, Floyd Patterson was originally taught and coached by Customato.
Okay.
All right, Floyd Patterson was taken out of a boys' home, for just like Tyson, same thing, youth offenders or youth troubled youth. Customato did it with Patterson. Then Cuss was Mike Tyson's first boxing coach. And
Yeah.
and father like figure in his life.
Yeah. Oh, such an awesome guy, man. He seemed to play such a
Hey,
great influence on Mike.
you know, and this is cool. I'll tell you this. He's had my phone number since '07, like before the Hangover movies, and then bang, the first Hangover movie was, and then the second one he wasn't not in the third one, but and not good for him, good for Mike,
Absolutely. Now,
and, and
were you excited when you found out that you were going to be fighting Mike? At that point in time, nobody knew what he was going to be like when he got out of prison. Was that exciting for you? Scary?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, hell yes. And that's why I went right at him, because maybe I could get him what he realizes it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But I had 25 first round knockouts going into that fight. So that was not just a plan. That was how I operated my career. I'm coming at you. I'm coming at you.
Now, Peter, no disrespect. This is something that
Yeah.
I'm asking you because I've heard other people try to say it, that fight was like a planned thing, that was something that they set up for Mike to make him look dominant. Could you like address those rumors that have came out about that fight?
Listen, it's not a rumor. It's not a rumor. Like, come on. Every fighter, going back to old school boxing, every fighter, the beginning of their careers, is fed opponents to build up their records. Right?
Yep.
So this was another case where Mike had the real deal. He had not fought in 4 years. So it was like, he was starting, all right. But you gotta, all right, so it was me. Then, now, and it was not easy to do this. So you look at the whole scenario. He fought me first, then he fought Buster Mathis Jr. And nobody ever knocked Buster down or out at that time. But Mike did. All right, so he had 2 fights. It was me in August. I believe it was Buster in October. Then he started to collect titles again. Can't remember who the first one was, but I know this. The second one was awful. It was Bruce Seldon. He took a belt from Seldon. Seldon was terrified for the belt he ranked.
How hard must that have been for Tyson to have that 4-year break and then to come back in afterwards? That had to be really hard to leave the world of boxing and then to have to step back in it after that period of time.
Well, let's be real about it. I mean, I've done stupid time in jail, couple months,
Yeah.
But 3.5 years? Oh, like I could only, oh my God, you go out of your mind. So good for Mike. Good for Mike. He made it all through it and came back. Good for him.
Absolutely.
Now, a lot of people compare it to like when Muhammad Ali was titles were unjustly taken from him. That's boxing. Sometimes not how good you fight or good you are, but how you come back.
How hard must that have been for him to come back after that time out of boxing, though, Peter?
Well, I'll tell you what. And I see, again, just like I said about, people like, how did you get through the death of your wife? I said, listen, to the day I die, which is going to be a long time from now, I'm always going to have the heart of a fighter.
Yeah.
And that's Mike. He's got it too.
So he never really lost anything.
Well, listen, listen. In our, in my way, and in Mike, obviously, Mike knows about loss in his life. Just his life growing up, and then in boxing, as a man, he's come on. That's why he called. The reason why he called me. He had the death of a child, a baby.
Mhm.
That's why he called me, because he understands.
Yeah.
He gets it.
Yeah. I understand, man. You had 36 knockouts yourself, so you definitely had some power behind your punch.
Well,
I'm curious.
that was at the end. That was at the
Okay.
end. But yeah, yes, I did.
What was that power of a Mike Tyson like to get hit by him?
Well, thank God, I did not experience too many. But see, with Mike was a very intelligent man, but an intelligent fighter, because what he did was, all right, he had 140 amateur fights. All right, like my manager Vinny used to always say, if you had 100 or more amateur fights, you really what? You're a pro. You're a pro fighting as an amateur.
Yeah.
So I only had 21 amateur fights. I beat two number one USA ABF contenders in those 21. I beat Bobby Harris from Worcester and James Johnson, who, like, nobody knows where he is now. But, I mean, James Johnson came to the finals of the 1992 Olympic trials and lost.
Mm.
Went nowhere as a pro. I've been to a few boxing reunions in Boston, but nobody knows where he is. Nobody knows whether he's alive or dead. But Bobby Harris is still out in Worcester. I've seen him a few times. I sparred him and I fought him twice.
Yeah. So I'm
Good
curious,
guy.
what do you think about this Jake Paul fight that is coming up with Mike Tyson? Even though Tyson's 58 years old, there's a lot of people saying that
All right.
Jake.
Time out. Number one, Mike's birthday's in June.
Okay,
So don't be putting years on his back.
not 58 yet.
Not yet. But now, let's also be honest. Jake Paul has never been in a ring with a real pro fighter in a fight.
You wouldn't consider Tommy Fury a pro boxer?
Are you hot? Are you out of your mind? You out of your mind? Tommy Fury, please.
No, I understand. I've heard it. I
Hey.
mean,
Oh.
he does get some age though there, Peter. But from what I can see of these training videos, he's still
Mike
iron.
is constantly he was training before any of this talk of Jake Paul came up. Mike was training. Mike's always in shape. He's always in shape. And why is he always in shape today? Because he stopped drinking and coking. Stopped drinking alcohol and stopped doing cocaine. Same with me. It's Halloween, this past Halloween was 7 years for me. No alcohol, no cocaine.
How hard was that to quit, Peter?
Well, like I said, I did that we started together, myself and my wife. We did it together.
Yeah.
And, God bless her. I hope she is resting in peace. But because she's not here, does not give me the green light to start up again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, hey, why don't we just say this? We'll keep it simple. I'm not going to drink or drug today.
There you go, man.
Right? Right.
Peter, you could give any advice to a Jake Paul that's about to stand across from Mike Tyson come next month, what would it be?
Good luck.
You think he has a chance?
Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit.
If it is, then it's staged.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that numerous times. But do you think that Mike would actually let them stage something like this from what you know of Mike?
You know what? Me as a pro fighter and him as a pro fighter, once that bell rings, it's pretty hard to let it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just, you know what? Actually, I'm not going to speak for Mike, but I'm speaking for myself. I would never, personally, I would never do something like that.
Right.
For me, it was, and I tell the kids that I still help coach boxing at Intense Boxing Club in Lawrence, Mass. I said, look, it's no big secret. The way I fought, I was always going for the KO.
Yeah.
Always.
And it seems like Mike was very similar, for sure.
Yeah, correct.
So I actually got to interview one of your other opponents at just a couple of months ago, Butterbean. What was that like, Butterbean?
Hey, I'm sorry to say, it was a rough point in my life.
Was it
at that time? But he couldn't punch even a little bit. Never had me on the canvas. And when they stopped it, I'm like, what is going on here? But see, and this was definitely a fact back then. Bob Arum didn't like us because we had been with Don King.
Oh,
because Butterbean was a Bob Arum fighter,
Mm.
and Bob Arum never liked us because we had a couple early pro fights with him, but he never liked us because we wouldn't sign with him.
So is that like a territorial thing where like the Aram fighters and the King?
Vinny Vecchio was smart. He knew better.
Yeah.
Actually, I agreed with him. I knew at the time too also.
Yeah.
Listen, the bottom line, and back then, you're not going to make the same amount of money with the Duvas and Bob Arum. You're not.
Yeah.
You're not. But Don King, if you go with Don King, you're gonna make money.
So it's interesting you say that, Peter, because I've heard a lot of fighters over the year say that they didn't trust Don King, or that, there was a lot of things that Don King did that they didn't agree with. But it sounds like you have a pretty good relationship with Don King. Seems like you were okay with him.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this. Um, I always loved Don King. Let's be honest. I was not going to make the same amount of money with Don King that Mike Tyson did.
Right, right.
And, whatever went on between Mike and Don was their business, not mine.
Right.
But the way we were treated by Don King, he treated us great.
That's good to hear, man. I'm
Yeah.
curious, like Peter.
Also, Vinny said, Peter, look, by that point, I'd been with Vinny long enough and had so many, fights with him that when we sat, like Al Braveman was Vinny's guy, and Al Braveman was Don King's guy. So whatever Vinny said, I agreed with him at that time. Obviously they're both gone. Vinny died in 2009, and Al been gone longer than that. But I went along with Vinny. I agreed with him about, because in the end, pro boxing, in the end, is about the money you make.
Yeah.
That's why they call it professional boxing. Vinny was funny. He'd say, he said it to me, and he said it to guys that he might have been interested in. And he'd say, hey, what do you want to go to Lowell again this year and fight your life? Fight a life and death fight for a trophy? Right?
Yeah.
That was the Terran Pro speech.
So I'm curious, Peter, did the cocaine and the alcohol, was that something that you was doing all during your career?
Yes, but
Yeah.
Staggered, to train hard for the fights.
Yeah. Now I heard.
Wait, but you gotta understand. When you're young, you can do that.
Yeah.
And, you come on into your 30s as a pro fighter. So it's just not whether it's, put it this way. Boxing is a very difficult sport. The training of the running, the training, the sparring, it's all difficult to begin with. But you throw alcohol and cocaine in, it's just going to make it more difficult.
Mm.
And so I probably shaved years and fights off my life, boxing life, because of that. I don't know. Hey, hold on. I could be wrong, but hey, everything happens the way it happened in my life. And hey, I thank God every day. That's not me today.
Absolutely, man. I'm with you on that. Now, I did hear a story from Tyson on the Hot Boxing podcast where he was talking about you had invited him out one night, I think, to go and party. So it seemed like he was pretty friendly with the guy. Could you talk about that
Yeah,
story?
yeah. He kind of threw that in there because when we met and talked, none of that was talked about. You know,
Yeah.
Mike was throwing in some color. You know what I mean? He's a great color commentator.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. What's life been like outside of boxing? That had to be kind of hard after all of those years being entrenched inside of that boxing world and then having to retire. Have you had a hard time since getting out of boxing? Was that rough for you?
Um, Not really. No,
No.
no, no, no.
What
Um,
about injuries? Do you think that you? What about CTE? Do you think that's something that you've struggled with?
do you think? Woo! Um, Look at, uh, I got it. I got it. Many pro fighters got it.
Yeah.
Um, but you know what? It was. I'm not proud of it, but um, that's my life.
Yeah.
That's my life, and I lived the dream.
You definitely did. Is there anything looking back now, if you could have done it all over again, that you would have done different?
Um, I can't say that because I'm a realist, and the way it happened is the way it happened. You know what I mean? Can't go back. There's no rewinds in real life.
I like that. It's very true. It's very true.
It's a fact.
Well,
No
let's say it
rewinds.
this way. If you had it to do all over again, would you choose to do it all over again the exact same way?
That's the what you say now. That's the big rewind. Woo! You know, it happened the way it happened, good, bad, or ugly. Um, and hey, I'm alive today, and I'm gonna live as long as God lets me.
There you go, man. Now, do you still train? You still do
I
a lot?
help. I help coach.
Okay.
I help coach. Now, just today is what?
Friday.
Friday.
Yeah.
This past Sunday, no, there was a big charity event for homeless U.S. military veterans, and I've done a few things for them. It was in Jamaica Plain, Boston, at American Legion Post 76 in Jamaica Plain, or Forest Hills. It's a part of Boston, and which I used to go through there. I did a lot of drinking there too. Um, but I used to be around there all the time. But I did this charity event with them, and you know what? Great time, great people. But it was a 3 mile run, and a 3 mile walk, and after party back at that American Legion. And I did enough running in my 54 pro fights, so I walked the 3 miles.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
loved it. Great time.
Do you like training? The
Oh,
younger fighters?
yes, yeah, yes, yes,
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. So what else do you currently do?
Besides that, very little.
Retirement, trying to do as little as possible.
Correct. Oh,
I hear
like
that.
today I was back out there walking again today. I, uh, I had a friend of mine who lives in the same building here gave me a ride to my bank. I had to do things in there, and then he he drove me back towards where our building is and dropped me off at a place where I get my I give a blood sample for my doctor, my medical doctor.
It's
And
awesome.
I gave
How,
my sample, and then I went out, got lunch, and walked home.
how is your health doing nowadays?
I'm here. I can't complain, man. I'm doing great.
Did you ever end up having any
I'm
kids,
doing
Peter?
great. I have a daughter. I have a beautiful 16-year-old daughter.
Oh wow, that's awesome, man. Now
Yeah, yeah.
was she with your wife that passed away not long ago?
One time we had a great time down at Cape Cod at my mom's place. Nadia was there, and myself and Aunt Rita, we drove down, and the two of them swimming in the ocean, running around on the beach. For me, it was funny to watch them together.
That's awesome,
You
man.
know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I know something I haven't asked you yet. How did you get the nickname the Hurricane?
Actually, I named myself that because my pro debut, which was at Nickerson Field, which is the football field at Boston University. You could see it, like if you're driving on Mass Pike, you could see it. If you look to your right, you could see the football field. And again, many colleges, they stopped football there because of CTE.
Mm.
And so, but I had my pro debut on that field, on that football field, August 23rd, 1991. It was always postponed by Hurricane Bob. So I said, Hurricane Peter McNeely.
That's awesome, man. Now,
Yeah.
talking about that CTE, what are some of the effects that you think that you've seen over the years coming from the CTE?
Well, all right. I'll tell you the, it's like you're taught in Alcoholics or like you're taught in AA.
Yeah,
The alcoholic is the last to know. Everybody else around you sees it, but
yeah,
you yourself don't see it, which is which is bizarre, but it's a fact.
yeah.
So I remember one night. This is back in, I'm gonna say, '05, '05 or '06. I'm living in Norwood, Massachusetts, and I went to a party. It was in Dedham, right next to Norwood, and a woman said to me, no, I wasn't drinking that night, and And the woman said to me, "You going home soon?" At first, I thought she was looking for a ride. Meaning, can I drive her home too?
Yeah,
But,
yeah. I'm picking up what you're laying down.
but, I said, yeah, I'm going home soon, but, you know, you know, um, and she said, well, just be careful. I said, I'm not drinking today or tonight. And then she said, just be careful anyways. So that shows you that people that don't know me, when they talk to me, think I've been drinking alcohol or doing drugs
Okay.
because of the way I talk.
Yeah. How how does that make you feel?
Um, I can't stop it. I can't. It can't be stopped. I can't do anything about it.
You're not in control of it.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. No, man. I mean, I think that's pretty cool that you realize that that might be there, but it's not something that you can control, and you
Hey,
keep it
hey,
positive.
time out, time out. It's not might. It is.
No, I got you. I got. Yeah, man. Now, how does your daughter interact with you over that? Has she had any talks with you about the CTE?
No. I'm sorry to say, um, I've not talked to my daughter in a while, because of her mother.
Yeah.
Her mother was so jealous when I married Anna Rita,
Okay.
but and then you know we it just hasn't been a easy um, time for myself and my daughter.
I got you, man. I got you.
But
Another,
like my mother said, Peter, well, you know it, she could be 18 and she can make her own decisions.
that's right. Never say never, man.
Exactly. Exactly. Um, you know, and I'm grateful.
Yeah.
The alcoholic addict must always be grateful. I'm grateful that she does great in school. She's smart. Her mother takes good care of her. Her stepfather's good to her,
Yeah.
and I I can only be grateful.
That's a great mindset to have, man. It really is.
I have to be.
Yeah,
I have
absolutely. Talking about training these younger fighters, and that's something that you enjoy. It's an exciting time for boxing, MMA, wrestling. It's like it's on top of the world right now. If you had any advice to any of the up and coming fighters, some of these younger fighters, what would it be, Peter?
Don't drink, don't drug. Too great in school, too great in college, and train hard.
That's it, man.
If you're going to be a boxer or any sport, train hard.
At the end of the day, you got an amazing legacy, an amazing record that you put down in the boxing world. But what is it that you would like to be remembered for when it's all said and done?
Um, I couldn't tell you. I mean, uh, Peter McNeely was a good guy, like his father.
Yeah.
Like, and this is sad. But when my father died, it was 2012, and we got this weird blizzard here in Massachusetts. shut everything down. Like, like, like 2 days after he died. So the wake was like still people out the door with almost a foot of snow on the ground.
Yeah.
People stood line out the door for a long time too. And that was how many people my father touched in his life.
Man, I can relate to that so much. My dad died in 2013, and he was a
Okay.
fast,
Yeah.
but it was the same thing. The wait was supposed to go for 2 hours and ended up going 4 hours, and there was still a line out the door. And as his son, that meant so much to me, Peter. That meant so much to me, man. I mean, how was that for you losing your father? For me, my life's never been the same since I lost my dad.
You know what? We have to be grateful for the fathers we had.
That's right.
You know why? Because we got no place else to go.
That's right.
Be grateful for your father. And that line out the door only proves it.
That's right, man. So your mother's still alive?
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Mom's doing good. She's doing real good. Talked to her a couple times this week. She's down on Cape Cod. She's down on Cape Cod now. She just got back from Cape Cod. Got back from Florida. Like, days ago, 3 to 4 days ago.
Yeah.
So good for her. You know?
Absolutely, man. Did you have any siblings, Peter?
I have 2 older brothers. And I have one little brother, Snubby. Snubby!
That's right. That's right. I almost forgot about that. Now, did they get into the boxing as well?
No.
So where did the name Snubby come from? I saw that on a lot of merchandise.
We would call it Snubby since he was like 4 years old.
Yeah.
There was a cartoon of Gilligan's Island. And Gilligan had a little monkey named Snubby. And he's been called that for decades. 70s, 80s, 90s. He's almost, I'm 55, he's 53. Just wanted to say this. Now, in November 1995, I got a call from the old UFC back then.
Really?
They want to know if I wanted to fight. I said, listen, I know nothing about grappling, wrestling, because if you don't know anything about that, you're not gonna make it in that game.
It's the same for the MMA guys going into boxing. They're taking you completely.
Exactly. Thank you. So I said thank you, but no thank you. So then I had a fight in Florida, and before the fight, they called in back and said, all right, we don't want you to fight. We want you to special guest appearance. And it was in Denver. So myself and my friend Brad, I had this big friend, Brad DeAndrea. And me and Brad flew from Florida to Denver for the UFC. So, but the point I'm trying to get to, we had a great time. The point I'm trying to get to is that night, Dan Severn won it all.
Oh, you was there?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yes. I have a picture of me, Dan Severn, and some guy together it's on my Facebook.
That's
It's
neat,
on
man.
my Facebook.
That's another legend right there, man. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, yes he is.
oh, dude, I don't think
Hey,
he gets the
hey,
credit he deserves.
listen, like that tournament. I mean, there was some tough. They had that Russian tough guy who was in a couple movies.
Oleg,
Um,
Oleg,
yes,
yeah.
yes. I mean, there was some tough guys in that tournament, and at the end, Dan won the whole thing.
And I don't know if the modern MMA fan realizes how hard that was for Dan. You didn't just fight one fight; you were fighting like 3 and 4 fights a night to become the champion.
Correct.
And
It was
Dan,
a tournament. It was a tournament.
yeah.
A mini tournament.
Now, do you think if MMA would have been around when you were younger, that's something that you would have been interested in?
No.
No.
It's, for me, since I was 7 years old, was always boxing.
Always boxing. How do you feel about these MMA fighters that are going into the boxing ring with no experience?
Listen. If that's what they want to do, go ahead. It's not gonna kill them.
It's a good payday.
It's not gonna kill them. But hey, you know what? Or like Don King says, only in America, baby.
Got you, man. Well, Peter, I've enjoyed this so much. Do you got anything coming up, or you just that you want to promote, or you just pretty much sitting back?
Hey, like I said, if you're in the Lawrence, Mass area, you want to box, go to Intense Boxing Club on Franklin Street, Lawrence, Massachusetts.
Good deal, man. Where can anybody get in touch with you if they'd like to get in touch with you about anything?
Facebook. Or I'm on Facebook and TikTok.
TikTok?
Yep.
You like TikTok?
It's funny. My wife got me to go on it like I'm gonna say 7 years ago. And I like it. Hey, I'm not one of them people that thinks it should be banned at all.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
The U.S. government wants to ban TikTok. Hey, again, it's free speech.
There you go.
The
Absolutely.
Fourth Amendment rule.
So, man, I've definitely enjoyed this. Really quick before we get out of here, anything you could say to Mike in preparation for this Jake Paul fight?
Mike, please wreck him.
I think everybody wants to see that.
Well, you know what? No, I don't agree with it. The Paul brothers have fans.
They do, yeah.
They have fans.
I mean, from what I've seen, in a way,
Many from the younger generation, but they have many fans. This is why they're both getting paid so much money. This is why it's on Netflix. Come on.
I mean, from what I've seen, Jake's been very good for the sport of boxing in a way, because these guys are getting paid money like they've never seen.
Well, again, we'll see how it works. June 21st. We'll get it. June 21st, June 22nd. We'll see what's going on.
That's right.
Right?
Peter, absolutely. Peter, man, I appreciate this so much. Stay sober. I'm so proud of you for your sobriety and for continuing to speak up about these things and being so open about your life.
It's my job to speak about it.
Yeah.
For any alcoholic addict out there struggling, they can do it too. Just for today.
That's right. All right, Peter. I appreciate it.
Hey, it's a race till midnight.
That's
It's
it.
a race. Don't drink or drug till midnight.
Don't drink or drug until midnight.
Yeah. Go to bed. Go to sleep. Worry about tomorrow when you wake up. It's a day at a time.